Hello guys, how you doing today? My name is David DeBerry and I'm owner and operator of The Box, and we have here today with us.
I'm Dr. Stuart Sherman. I'm a chiropractor and a registered nurse. We're going to talk today about the complex relationship between nutrition, fitness, working out, and how the two interact.
And we're going to be also discussing his daughter Paige that I've been training for a little over a year now, and I work with her on the physical side by conducting a series of complex drills in order to get her to be able to perform better on the field. And he works with her on the nutrition side.
Yeah, we focus mainly, I've got 3 children. I got Keegan, Gabriel, and Paige, and Ruben, 4. But we started out with Keegan when he was playing football. I'm not even off track too bad, but we really wanted to work on him to build him up and build up his mass. That was something he was very interested in, and we wanted to help him. And I had a little bit of a knowledge base, so I decided to use that. So we really just started working with him about getting him to build up muscle strength and size, and it worked out pretty good. If you know him, he's pretty cut, he's pretty big, so it worked out pretty well. Now we're working with Gabriel, and since David has been working with Paige, it's more specific because the training regimen is more focused to what's going to help her with her softball programs. So again, I'm not going for size or mass, so I'm not really pushing protein down her throat to make her huge and bulky. We're trying to go for lean, mean, more muscle density per pound and less mass.
Okay, so with that being said, well again, like I said, I do the athletic side of the training. So with our drills, we do jump training, we do sprint drills, we do parachute runs, and just recently we did start working on resistance training across the back. We recently came upon a situation where Paige was being examined and Stu noticed the forward pull of her shoulders. And in our training, Paige had mentioned that they started doing some resistance training in their softball program where they've been doing some bench pressing, I'm sorry. So from that, I knew that eventually we were going to have to soon get into some pulls to balance off that muscle in the front of the bone and the back side of the bone. But I didn't realize it was going to be immediate as it was. But thank you for Stu, he caught it. So Stu, tell us about what we saw there.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Dr. Dale Nodrick. That was partially him as well. When she was being seen, he noticed that and brought it to my attention, and I brought it to Dave's attention, so we could start working with that. Yeah, notice just that her the forward part, her anterior chest, pec major, pec minor, were rotated forward. And like Dale told me, he says that if she was standing here, most people that are just standing straight up in a relaxed position, their hands are kind of at the side. If there was something written on the back of their hand, you couldn't see it. However, because in her case, those muscles were accentuated or pulling excessively, it was causing her to rotate forward, and her hands were actually, the posterior or back part of her hand was actually forward. If something was written on the hand, you could actually see it. So that's what clued us in, just by looking at her posture, that was a problem and something that needed to be addressed. So I made sure David knew about her off the bat, so he started working the posterior back muscles to help kind of offset that and pull her back into balance. We talked about, you and I were talking the other day, about a nutritional principle. Well, not really a nutritional principle, it's more of a physiological principle called Wolff's Law.
Yes.
And Wolff's Law basically says that bone adapts to the stress that you put on it. In other words, if you put excessive stress on a bone, it'll deform or take the shape of the stress that you add to it. And that's just a constant physiological process that we see all the time in healthcare. That's what I call it a law, Wolff's Law. So the same thing applies to the human body in general. Whatever stress is, good or bad, that you put on the human body, the body will respond and give you pretty much what you're looking for. So good stress being exercise, diet,
Rest.
yeah, recovery, those kind of things. Your body will respond by giving you a healthier cut body, more muscle mass, more athleticism, more endurance, all the good stuff that you want in your body. Your body will reward you. But likewise, if you give your body negativity, if you give it bad diet, no exercise, constant stress, negative stress into your life, your body's going to respond to that as well. It's going to give you heart disease, diabetes, cancer, fat, obesity. You're going to become fat, you're going to become out of shape, you're going to die sooner. So those are all the kind of things that you can weigh out. If you give your body good stuff, it's going to give you something good. If you give your body bad stuff, it's going to give you something bad. So it's just that common sense, universal approach to health and wellness and how the body works.
Now, we discussed that common sense law yesterday, and using myself as an example, I understand that if I have poor eating habits, if I eat McDonald's every day, that I'm going to be fat and I'm going to be lazy. But we don't understand on a scientific level how that affects us. We're like, okay, if I'm fat and lazy, there's a lot of other people fat and lazy, so I'm no different from anybody else. But what if we told you that not only do those bad eating habits cause you to be fat and lazy, but on a microscopic level, it affects our DNA, the building blocks that build and make up who we are physically as a person. Our poor choices of what we put into our body and the bad choices that we make by being sedentary, less active. Again, using myself as an example, my week is pretty structured, so my eating habits, my nutrition, my workout regimen during the week is pretty much spot on point. The weekends are a little bit different. On the weekends, I might decide I want to drink me a couple of alcoholic beverages. I might decide I don't want to work out today. When I do that, when Monday comes back around and I'm back on my routine, and I'm back on my normal nutrition plan, when I'm back in my normal workout routine, my workouts feel so hard. There's a scientific reason for that, and still, if you help us to understand.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to break it down in a way that I understand it. But going back to what you were saying earlier, I made mention to you that, of course, if you eat McDonald's 3 times a day, that you're gonna be fat, you're gonna be lazy, you're gonna be, have bad health, so forth, so on. To me, that was common sense. I was like, well, yeah, everybody knows that. But the way you put it, the way you explained it back to me was, no, not everybody knows that. And I'm thinking, how can they not know that? I mean, to me, that automatically makes sense. If I eat vegetables and fruit versus hamburgers and french fries, I'm going to be healthy if I eat vegetables and fruit. If I eat hamburgers and french fries, I'm not going to be healthy. And maybe that's just because of my background and my education level, whatever I've studied in the past, that just makes automatic sense. But the way you put it, you had a real succinct way of saying it that was, like, no, Stu, not everybody's going to get that. And so I was like, what do you mean? Of course everybody knows that. And you're like, no, they don't know that. So that's something, I need to work with too, as far as, how I approach talking about these types of things. Like, no, not everybody knows this stuff. That's something that we need to think about. But we talked about a couple of points that we wanted to break down. When we work out, it's really important that we fuel our bodies correctly. Like I told Paige the other day, it's an example. I said, look, what's the difference between a race car and a Pinto? Well, first you didn't know what a Pinto was, but what's the difference between a race car and a regular car? And she was like, well, I don't know. I said, a race car, you treat it better. It's a performance vehicle. You have the race car to go very fast for a performance level. You don't put the same gas in a race car as you put in a regular car.
I usually use a jet and a car in that reference.
Right, yeah, exactly. But you treat it different. You baby it a little bit more, you take care of it more. There's more of an investment in the race car than in the regular car because it's a more valuable piece of machinery. I said, likewise with your body, Paige, we want to be careful about what we fuel your body with because
you're an athlete.
Right, you're an athlete. We're trying to get something out of you that we, performance-wise, as far as what you do on the softball field, there's a performance expectation. Therefore, we have to be very, very conscientious of what we fuel your body with so that we can get that performance. So we talked about, and I was telling her about this, there's 3 basic things that we put in our mouth that we fuel our bodies with: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates are basically, that's your quick energy source. If I got to have energy right now, I'll get carbohydrates. And typically when we think of carbohydrates, it really does span a large group of food types. I mean, fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates. So is rice and potatoes. But
one is starchy.
one is starchy and one is more natural, and how they break down in your body is different. And we'll save that for another podcast, because that you can get a lot of miles out of that one.
True.
Protein sources can be fruits, can be plant-based or animal-based. But proteins are basically the building blocks, the bricks and mortar that you put together to help build the cellular components of your body, specifically muscle. So when you think about people that lift weights, they consume a ton of protein because they want to bring in the bricks and mortar to help build the muscle base, the skeletal system up, so that they can have big, huge bodies. That's what they're going for. And fats have a lot of energy packed in a very small package. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot of fat to get a lot of energy release, sustained release. In fact, your heart primarily runs off triglycerides. I mean, it runs off fat. So, but you think about it, your heart's constantly beating, it never stops. It needs a fuel source that's going to give it a lot of bang for buck, so that it can keep going and keep rolling. So that's what fats are typically for. Fats also too help make up the cellular component of our cells, how we're made. So we're made up of what? Trillions and trillions of cells all working together. Some are specialized, some are not so specialized, but they help build us as to who we are. We got bone cells, we got muscle cells, we got nervous system cells, brain cells, fat cells, connective tissue, muscles, tendons, ligaments, so forth and so on. But the one thing that they typically have in common is that, well, since we're animals, they're animal cells. So if you go back to your basic biology, what makes us different from a plant is the cell wall, or cell membrane, I'm sorry, how we're put together. That cell membrane is composed of fats. And those fats help keep other fluids or the outside environment separated from the inside of the cell, so that that cell can live, function, and do what it's supposed to do. You found it very interesting that, we were talking about different types of fats that you eat can influence the cellular structure of your body and how it's made.
The lipids.
Right, the lipids, yeah. And also too about your DNA, how your DNA is affected as well. I'm not going to go into super duper detail on that, because I mean, some of that it gets really deep, and it's also kind of cutting edge too. We're talking about telomeres, and how that works, and what we consume, and how that breaks down DNA damage, and how it can build up over time. We'll kind of get into that a little bit too as we go there. What were you going to say about that?
Well, with the lipids that you were telling me about yesterday, I think the way you explained that, and I have to have stuff broken down for me because I'm not the brightest bulb in the tool shed, but nevertheless, when we were talking about the lipids, I think you referred to it as they help build the wall, the membrane of the cell that allows good stuff to pass in and bad stuff to pass out.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, when you think about cellular metabolism, and I explained to you earlier, we were talking about a cell is like a house. You got to bring groceries into the house so that everybody can function. You got to take the trash out so the trash doesn't build up inside the house. If you leave the trash in the house, it becomes nasty. It's going to attract roaches and bugs, mice. It's gross. It's going to create sickness and ill health. So, you got to clean out the house, make sure you get the trash out. You got to bring good stuff in, good, healthy foods and nutrition and so forth, so that the cell can continue to function and live and function the way it's supposed to. So that's another, again, basic analogy to utilize when you're thinking about, why should we eat healthy and take care of ourselves.
Protect this house.
Protect the
cellular level.
Yeah, you got trillions and trillions of houses, cellular components inside your body. When we talk about the lipids, though, they're really, really important for repair. The enzymes for DNA repair, I told you one thing I'm using now is I'm taking blueberry extract, and we're also, for PAGE, we're using L-lysine for repair. That's one of the amino acids.
Okay.
So it's important for repair. What we're trying to do though is make sure that she can continue to train as she's healing and repairing at the same time. So we understand that her body breaks down they can incur overuse injuries from what we're doing, but unfortunately the way we're set up with her schedule, we don't have time to stop. So what we're having to do is alter and modify her nutrition so that she can heal and repair while she's working out. Yeah, so that she can kind of, you know, get over it as she's enduring it. And you're modifying what she's doing
Yes,
as well.
and this supplement that you mentioned before, after amino acid is what again?
L-lysine.
L-lysine, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the supplementation and amino acids as well as I should be because I've never used them. The only supplementation that I've ever used is protein powder, and I think I've used the Fedra before they took that off the market because that really gave me a jack to get pumped up. But outside of that, I've never used any recovery muscle milk, any of that nature. And I'm sure that I've adversely affected my body as a result in my latter years, but I just never understood the principle of how they work. I read about them now, but again, because I've never used them, I still don't have a working knowledge of how they work. But that's why it's good to be able to speak to people that do. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's great. And also hydration is really big too. You know, we got to put it clean water in. Also, and we didn't really talk about this, but I had it jotted down. I forgot to mention it, but we talked about the differences in teas. There's a difference between black tea, which is what the regular English tea that we normally drink when we think about sweet tea. That's black tea.
Okay.
There's green tea and there's also white tea.
Now, I hear people talking about green tea a lot. That's supposed to be the new good food now, or the good tea.
Right.
Right.
Green tea and white tea have a lot of antioxidant capability.
Okay.
In other words, so if you eat something, see how I want to describe this. If you eat something that's got a lot of extra hydrogens, you talk about hydrogenated food, that's
Like the cheeses.
right.
Okay.
That or like crackers and cookies, something that can stay on the shelf for a long time. Think about it. If I put something on the shelf and it doesn't go bad for 6 months,
Okay.
hey,
Okay.
wait a minute.
They got something in
What
there.
do we do
Yeah.
to keep that food from rotting? Because that doesn't seem natural. I could throw something on the shelf in a grocery store and it sits there.
So that means Twinkies are loaded.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 to 6 months. So what they end up doing is they hydrogenate foods. They add extra hydrogens to it to make the molecular bond stronger, to hold it together.
So how does that extra
Hydrogenation.
hydrogenation, how did that affect us?
Well, so when you eat it, all those extra hydrogens start flying off. They break off like a chain, right? So think of like a chain and all these little hydrogens sticking off to it. When your body starts breaking it down, these extra hydrogens go off, and they're trying to find a place where they can connect to, because one hydrogen by itself is not happy.
Okay.
2 hydrogens together is stable,
Okay.
right? So if I got 1 plus, one negative, I need to find another negative so I can make a plus, right?
Okay.
2 negatives make a positive.
Okay.
So that 1 hydrogen is going to find another hydrogen to bind to. It doesn't matter if it's a cell in your body, it's going to destabilize the cell wall and cause that cell to break down, or even worse, cause that cell to mutate and change and become cancerous. That's why hydrogenation is such a damaging, bad thing.
So hydrogenation, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, we're totally going off.
Okay, but no, it's still informative.
Yeah.
Is primarily found, I'm assuming, in processed foods.
Processed foods. Yep.
Okay.
So to combat that hydrogenation, that excess hydrogen, obviously you don't want to eat it very often, but you're going to anyway. So if you can consume something that is able to suck up those extra hydrogens and give them a place to go so that they aren't as damaging to the cells in your body, that's a good thing.
And that would be?
Right, green tea and white tea are good for that. And that's just one thing. There's several other things out there, but that's just one that's pretty easy. If you just, increase the amount or even began drinking green tea, what I did with my family, I started suckering a little bit. So I would mix the regular black tea like we normally have, and I throw like 4 bags of green tea in there with it.
Okay, so this is still brewed tea, not green tea that we go buy out of a...
Oh, you can.
Many stuff.
Yeah, you can. But I do it
It's just better at home.
I do it at home,
Okay.
because I try to find ways to just do it at the house.
Okay.
But I kind of slipped green tea in on them so that we could get that, to add that additional to combat hydrogenation. Not that we consume a ton of hydrogenated foods, but
because the brunt of my daily nutrition is processed foods. I'm buying frozen grilled chicken from Sam's. I'm buying bagged lettuce. I'm buying canned greens. I'm buying frozen greens.
nothing wrong with bag lettuce.
Okay, so I'm good there.
Yeah, you're okay. As long as you don't get the stuff that's like what am I thinking about? Crackers, cookies, French fries. Fast food is notorious.
Well, I try to reserve my French fries intake for once a week on Saturday.
There you go. Fast food is notorious for it because you're increasing your fat, your bad fat content. You're increasing your sodium content out through the roof, and because everything's typically fried, deep fried or some other way, you're increasing your hydrogenation, the amount of hydrogenated foods that you're consuming as well. So there's nothing good about that.
Okay.
There's no good lining that you can put on fast food.
Overconsumption of fast food.
Overconsumption. I mean, it's okay to have a cheat meal, because life would suck or be boring if you didn't,
Exactly.
have something fun occasionally. But that can't be your primary source of nutrition.
Okay.
And another thing, before we go on, this is a good point. I did a lot of studying when I was getting my nursing degree, but we ended up talking about nutrient dead zones, especially in inner cities. This is something that kind of mentioned about. A lot of places in inner cities don't have fresh fruits and vegetables. They just don't have places. And so literally entire generations of people are getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner
With no nutrition
from fast food.
Yeah.
Constantly. And then we wonder why, why do we have this obesity epidemic? Why do we have high blood pressure the way we do? Why do
Why
we
are we
have
so tired?
cancer, stroke, blah, blah, blah. And that's overwhelming the healthcare system. And typically in some of these urban areas, you have a high disproportionate number of people who have to get medicated and other things like that. So basically, it's you're driving this problem that you're having to pay for. You know what I'm saying? So it behooves everybody. So they've made a big push to open up farmers markets inside of the city, the inner cities, to bring fresh fruits and vegetables from the outside in, or at least to give people the chance and the opportunity to purchase those types of items so that they can offset what they're doing, to give them some sort of a break. You don't think about it, especially in this area because we don't see it.
Mhm.
I mean, we're more rural than anything else.
Mhm.
But in some of these bigger cities, that's a real problem. I mean, we went way off tax.
No, I mean, no. Like I said, this is still informative.
Yeah.
Still informative.
So the key theme I think you and I were talking about before we decided to do this was how the stressors that we put on the body, what we're trying to do is, like we said with Paige, I came to you with an idea. I said, here's what we want to do with Paige. If she's a softball player, we want to start a training regime that's going to address these particular movements, as far as her pitching goes, and other
Reaction time.
other aspects of her play, and you developed that program. And then at one point in time, I think there was a change where I sent you a video of somebody pitching, and I said, hey man, we need to really work on this. And you said, thank you, I got that. I'll craft something. And you were able to develop a more specific workout that would address that
Well,
motion.
prior to you wanting the program to be more pitching specific, we were doing cleaner presses, and cleaner press is just basic general athletic movement. If teaching or you're understanding how to work the upper body and lower body together to perform a task where you're lifting a load off the ground overhead, so that's clean and press. I mean, it's a huge benefit to the neurological system and your response time. But when we switched that program to the pitching specific, all we did was work on more lower body stuff. We understand that the pitch is the force, the torque that's driving that pitch comes from the lower body. So we started doing more glute ham movements. We started doing more hinging movements. We started doing more deadlifts, So that's how we alter that program to accommodate the task, what we're addressing in her training. And when we change that, I imagine that you change the nutrition as well.
Yeah, so she would come home, oh, my legs hurt, or oh, this hurts, so, blah, 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 blah. And so, we noticed that, obviously, if she's working out, if she's doing major muscle training, I need to increase her protein level. That's common sense. But I didn't want her to bulk up. I really want her, she's got a pretty lean frame. I really haven't done a body fat measurement.
Oh man,
but there ain't much.
No.
She didn't have a lot of fat.
She's all legs.
So, I wanted her to maintain that because I know she's 13 and she's a girl and she doesn't want to get too stocky or bulky. She still wants to look like a female. And so we just make sure that she eats really clean. She eats a lot of fruits and vegetables. She eats lean proteins. We make sure that, it's nothing, she doesn't do a lot of protein powder. I'll say that. But she does eat some good meats, fish, poultry, a lot of poultry, tuna.
Yeah, chicken.
Chicken, we tell a ton of chicken.
Yeah.
But a lot of vegetables, and we really force her to hydrate well. She tries to drink, roughly half a gallon of water a day, if we can put it on her. And we started really doing some different supplementation as well. I really have, in the last week or two, decided I want to push some of these additional amino acids, some good lipids, and I brought in some of that fish oil we talked about, to really help her be able to recover, because that's going to be important going forward. It's not like we're going to slow down working out.
We'll probably get her recover from the workout, so
recover faster. And if you look at some of the professional athletes, they'll have an injury that would normally knock you or me out for several weeks.
Yeah, but then
and by the end of the week they still play.
Yeah,
they can still keep going.
And that's due to their supplementation.
Right, and the different approaches. So my approach with nutrition and chiropractic, how I apply that to her and to the programs that you've developed for her for working out, we're kind of hitting her from every angle to grow the kind of athlete we want to grow.
Well, that's what this segment and all segments following will be driven towards, us learning how to be our best selves. When we think about athletes, we think about being our best athletic selves. When we think about other leaders, other jobs, other functions, whatever our job is, whatever our function is, we want to be our best self in that function. And that's kind of what we work toward at the box. The box where superheroes train. We look at superheroes as being our ideal selves, and we want to help you become that at the box, but just not physically. We want to do that emotionally. We want to do that spiritually. We want to do that through arts and crafts. However.
Yeah, spiritual, mental, physical.
Yeah, the three pillars.
The three pillars.
Three pillars. There you go.
The physical body, the mental part of your body, and the spiritual aspect of your body, or your being. Those three together make up a complete person. And you can't ever do one without the other suffering. Likewise, you can't focus on just one particular aspect. Like three legs of a stool. If you're not one out, the whole stool is going to fall. If you're not two out, the whole stool is going to fall. You got to keep all three equal in the amount of attention you apply to them, so that you have a very strong base and you can continue to grow yourself from there.
Well, Paige is like the blueprint of what it is that we're trying to do, not just with her, but with everybody that we can reach through this cast, everybody that we come in contact with the community, within the community. We all aspire to be our best selves, but most of the time we don't know how to get there. And that's what, not just us, not just why we're here, but that's why we're here in this place, in this space together, so that we can talk to, interact, communicate with each other, and learn how to get to this best self that we're trying to be, how to unlock our own inner hero. And that's going to require some communication. That's going to require some discussion. And this podcast is part of that discussion. We're initiating that discussion, and we're hoping that in this discussion, you can find something helpful for you on your journey as well. I'm sorry, I just wanted to.
So that's cool. Unlocking our best selves, and we're just we're using our gifts and talents to help each other to become our best selves. That's basically what you want to call it.
So we were talking about the lipids in the cell walls, and I really wanted
I
to.
like that.
Yeah, I do, because the reason why I like that so much is one epidemic that I see that's just like coming out of no place is cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, and back in the 90s, and early 2000s, it was like AIDS, HIV, and now that's been replaced with cancer. It's like people that I've grown up with, people that are younger than me, are dying of cancer, and I feel fortunate to be able to have the life that I have. But as I speak with professionals in the medical field, I understand that maybe this life that I have is primarily due to the choices that I did or didn't make. And in those choices, like I said, if we can find out that certain choices we make can help us be Superman resistant to kryptonite, I mean, why wouldn't we want to make those choices?
Right.
And to say the common sense side of eating fast food is knowing that we're going to get fat, knowing that we're going to be lazy. But again, what if knowing that choosing a healthier counterpart like the fruits and vegetables can help us to perform better, can help us to sleep better at night, can help us to be less irritable, can help us be more patient with our family and friends. What if we can find a key to unlocking all those things through nutrition and proper supplementation, along with an active lifestyle? Who wouldn't choose that?
Yeah, you don't do because you don't know, and you don't achieve because you don't try. So, there has to be that combination. So we're trying to educate so that you know, so that you can do, so that you can achieve. And those 3 blocks is kind of where we're going. And I'll be honest with you, man, I completely, whatever we talked about yesterday with lipids is going to the waste.
Well,
I've already forgot it.
Well,
But,
but some of that resonates.
Yeah,
Some of that
cool.
resonates because we talked about the cell walls collapsing and expanding to.
No. We were talking about discs.
The disc.
Okay.
Okay.
So in the spine, the discs, the discs are the cushion between the bones and the back. So if you think right now of a skeleton and you think of the backbone, you have the body of the vertebrae, the backbone, and in between is those disc things. The discs are kind of like tires because they have a very tough, durable outer layer. On the inside, they've got a more gelatinous or a jelly-like substance with a really fluid, dense core. They don't have a blood supply, which this is what you thought was really cool. They don't have a blood supply. There's not an artery or a vein that runs directly into the disc. They have to get their nutrition, basically, cellular nutrition from the bones above and below. And that process is called imbibition, imbibe or drink. So when you're normally doing your normal motion, you're just kind of walking along doing your thing, those bones are kind of going back and forth like an accordion, pushing against that disc, and they're causing the negative pressure when they go away is sucking in nutrients from the bone above, which does have a vascular supply, and the compression is forcing the waste materials, cellular waste materials, out into that circulation from the bone back into the body and so forth and so on. So it's bringing in good stuff, getting rid of bad stuff, just like any other cell in the body or any other tissue in the body. It's just going about it a different way. That's all. That's what that really comes down to.
Okay, so that's where I
That's where, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm really fascinated with the lipids because
That's a cool one though.
yeah, but, and it's primarily found in the fish oil, correct? Or was the fish oil separate from the lipids?
What we're talking about with the lipids, and the reason why we were using the fish oil, the lipids serve 2 purposes. One, it's a great fuel source.
Okay.
You don't need a lot
Okay.
to get a huge bang for your buck as far as energy goes. Just a little bit of oil gives you a huge release of energy.
Okay.
Like throwing gas on a fire.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Also, because the way the cells are made in your body with that what's called a lipid bilayer, which is basically the cell wall, lipids are hugely important for maintenance and repair of cellular functions.
That's
You gotta have it. So by putting these good oils in, you can choose what you're gonna have. You can have bad oils that come from animal products, animal fats, those kind of things, which have different purposes, but aren't the best. Or you can get them from plant products, like avocados. Fish oil is still a really good source.
Mhm.
That's why they recommend that you eat salmon, mackerel, those really cold fishes, because they produce this really, really good quality oil that has the right amino acid blend that we need, or omega fatty acids that we need.
Okay, so from a health standpoint, our oils and fats primarily come from plants, with the exception of the fish oil.
Right.
Eating the meaty fats are more hazardous to our health.
Yeah, it's this breakdown between the amino acids that you consume. There's certain amino acids that we have to get from animals.
Okay.
Typically.
Okay.
I mean, there are some plant sources, but you have more access to animal sources.
Okay.
The plant sources are a little bit fewer and far in between. But as far as good fats go, there are a lot of good plant-based. Like I said, avocados is a really good one.
I'm trying to learn.
It's another good plant-based fat source.
Yeah, I don't know either. And oh God, we're looking back off to the producer.
Oh, olive oil. Yeah, olive oil.
Okay.
Sunflower oil. What's the other one I got now? Avocado oil. Yeah, we talk about avocados. But those are different oil bases that you can get. Nut oils like walnuts, almonds, those kind of things.
Okay.
Those are all good oil lipid sources that are really, really good for your body that it can use to help repair and rebuild on a cellular level. And that's what we were talking about too with cancer. Breakdown in DNA. We were talking about transcription where this is going to get way too complicated.
No, it's not.
But where you split DNA open, like if we need to make a certain protein, we have to take the DNA and unwrap a certain portion of it and let RNA come in and make a copy and send it off to the mitochondria to build that particular protein molecule that we want.
But sometimes there's errors in that DNA.
Right. Over time, if you repeat, and you're making all these protein molecules over time, what's going to end up happening is you're going to damage it. You're going to damage the machinery that makes the protein, and that's where it makes an abnormal protein, which then becomes a cancer cell. Long story short, if you start working it all through, and that's a super simplistic version, but basically that's kind of where cancer starts. Is you have like cells that are rebuilding themselves, repairing themselves constantly. As long as you give them plenty of good building materials, they can run for a long period of time. But eventually they will make errors, and those errors turn into cell components that become cancerous.
Now, okay, but there is a team that in the design of the body, a repair crew or a disposal crew that comes along and disposes of those error DNA, those DNA for error.
The immune system can smell out, it can sniff out and give each cell a sniff test. Because like say inside your body, cells give off chemical reactions, and the body, obviously it's your body, so it knows what's good, what's bad, and what's doing the right job that it's designed to do and what's not. And so it can slide in there, so you're not doing the right job,
You gotta go.
we gotta go. It induces what's called apoptosis, which is cell death, and causes that cell to die, and it just removes it from the strand. And all I can think about is the Matrix. It takes one of those guys and flushes them down the toilet, drops them into the pipe.
Yeah, and then now you're in the real world.
That's right. In the real world.
Okay.
Now you did.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's kind of a brief breakdown of cancer. I guess we could talk about cancer more in depth later. Yeah, later date. We can sit down and we can really get to the X's and O's of it, and it may get complicated.
But it's informative.
It's fun to learn.
It's informative. And then even though we are who we are with the average Joe, so we're not gonna complicate it no more than it has to be complicated.
Well,
we're gonna break it down as much as we can.
The thing I find is funny is how you can take you know, we could trace that French fry that you ate this past weekend and see how it became a cancer cell. You can show the process by which hydrogenated foods become cancers. So we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
We might get a whiteboard for that.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get on that at some point. And yeah, we need a whiteboard, we'll get it.
We'll talk
That
about
sounds
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. But with our development of Paige, my physical training aspect and his medical training aspect, along with his knowledge of supplementation and nutrition, this is what we're using to build this athlete. And it seems to be working pretty good. I'm very proud of her development and growth thus far at the box. There's movements that I have her doing that I don't have my other athletes doing, for one, because they don't have the same goal. But then two, Paige is just somewhat gifted in that regard as far as her fast twitch muscles are concerned. She has very good reflexes. We do some jump training, and one movement that we do in the jump training is we do a kneeling jump. We're in a kneeling position on our knees, and then we jump off of our knees onto our feet, and then we jump onto a 20-inch box. Doing that, there can't be any hesitation involved. You're going to go straight from one movement right into the other. You're going to follow the momentum and just carry it on out to the end result. And she does that well. It only took her a couple of times to pick up on that, and I'm not sure if that's from the nutrition aspect. I don't know if that's from the genetic aspect. I don't know if that's from the supplementation aspect, but I'm pleased.
A little bit of all those.
A little bit of all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if you know, and any like, especially my chiropractic friends, especially anybody that have a background in chiropractic, will understand that you can take anybody, any person, and if you have the intention of what you want to achieve by catering their physical training, their nutritional training, and sometimes some of the other things that you do, the motivational training, the spiritual aspect, intelligence, and the spirit aspect of it, you can achieve whatever goal you want to. The human body is amazingly adaptable.
I agree with that.
You can get a lot out of it. It's just, it really comes down to intent. What do you intend? Do you intend success and greatness, or you intend, sickness and failure? What you do, the steps that you take, whether it's, your prayer life, whether it's, your nutrition, what you eat, whether it's your exercise, whether or not you exercise or not, all those are going to have some sort of payoff in the end. So again, what you put in, you get out. Even on the smallest level or the biggest level, like with your marriage. I'll say about this one time. If I put in time with my wife, I should hopefully get a better marriage. A better relationship with my wife. That makes sense to me.
By the way, folks, his wife is on the other side of the camera, so
But likewise, and she'll agree with me when I say this. If I don't put in the time with her, I ain't gonna have a good marriage. It's not gonna be a happy day. So, all these things again we talked about before. To me, it's common sense. But like you said, some people just don't see it that way. Which again, you'll have to teach me that because I can't understand.
I didn't understand it as well. These common sense things I expected my children to have. See, it didn't resonate with me, with my children, when I would say, look, this shouldn't have to be explained. But it does, the common sense aspect. When you think about a child and you tell them, don't touch the heater, don't touch the heater. And they're like, okay, I'm not gonna touch the heater. But they're not gonna realize why they shouldn't touch the heater until they experience the heat from it. So when we can take a person that has been sick or ill, or their body has given them a negative response. And we can take that person and take them back from that negative response to how that negative response began, from the sedentary lifestyle, to the poor choices in their nutrition, to the overindulgence in alcohol beverages, to the restless nights, smoking being number one, to the restless nights that they spend out partying all day long, all night long. When you're able to track that negative response of their body, that illness, that cold, that stomach, that head, whatever it is that's bothering them, back to the choices that they've made, then that's when you come to the point where you finally felt the heat. You finally touched the stove, you finally touched the heater, and you felt the heat. Where before you may have just been feeling bad and you just saying, oh, well, I feel bad.
The biggest thing though is I'm thinking about with kids, and there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with video games, but the overindulgence in video games, that's wrong. And not just because of video games, but what I'm saying from a physical aspect,
You're not doing
get your
anything.
butt outside. Go outside. When we were kids, my mom, probably your mom too, would say get out the house and don't come back.
We didn't come back until it was time to eat.
Right.
We went outside, we played, we came back home and we ate, and we went back out and we played again, and when it was time to eat again, we came back home. My mother, my grandmother was gonna let us sit up in her house all day long, and I ran with a bunch of big guys. Everybody was big, and we stayed in a small house, so she wanted to get ready to fill up her little house with all these big old rafters, and then eating up all the snacks. So she's like, y'all get outside and play. You know, y'all go outside and play, and that's what we did.
You know who you are.
But I actually have athletes that now, because the most physical activity comes from playing some type of organized sport. Where I grew up at, we didn't, there were organized sports to be played, but all of us couldn't afford to play those organized sports. So what we do, we crush a can and kick it, and we make a game out of it, and we're playing street volleyball or street soccer with a Pepsi can that we done crushed, and we kick it back and forth, we done made a goal. We do the same thing with a stick. We put cardboard down, and now we playing softball with a stick and a tennis ball. That's what we did. We stayed active. We didn't have video
But they
games.
say that you were active.
We were
But
active.
the main thing is, I see, kids wonder, why am I weak? Why am I not strong? Why do I not have the body I want? I want to have a very, cut body. I want to look good, be it male or female. I want this, I want that. But you ain't willing to work for it. It's not going to happen by magic. No genie's going to pop up out of your video game and grant you your wish and give you everything you want. If you don't
Only on Avatar.
if you don't balance it out and put that stuff down, it's okay to do it. It's okay. It's fun. I get it, but it can't be all you do. It can't be all you do. You got to kind of balance out your physical, mental, and spiritual all together. You can't neglect one or two and expect to be a whole person. It's gonna cost you somewhere.
Down the
You
line.
may not see it now, but it's coming. It's gonna get you at some point.
Well, Stu, I really appreciate this, man. And again, we'll probably be doing this once a month, but the efforts in this podcast is to help us to achieve our best selves, unlock our inner hero. David Diabel from the box, off the Chain Fitness signing out. Stu, peace.
Peace.